The advice I would have to emerging women leaders is to think about the fact that today women are called to wear many hats. And I think we have a lot of different roles. We're moms, we're daughters, we are career women, we're community action women. And I think we fall into the trap of thinking we need to be everything to everyone. My advice is that you may be able to do it all and have it all, just maybe not all at once, because there are different times in your life where you're called to be more in one area than the other area. And that's okay. It's okay, because you can just kill yourself trying to be everything to everyone. My faith. I try and remind myself that God may have a bigger plan than what I have on my current agenda. And I'm constantly humbled, and I try and remind myself of that. Okay, if I was an animated character, I would absolutely be Wonder Woman. Is there any more to say? She fights the bad guys, and she does it while in heels. So absolutely Wonder Woman.
I would say the words that I live by are, first one, kindness. Second one, I would say just to not take yourself too seriously. And the last one, I was thinking integrity. And integrity, as I was thinking about this, I remember growing up, my mother would always tell my brother and I that there's one thing that people can't take away from you as you grow up is your name, and keeping your name clean and keeping it something you would be proud of. And I heard that from we were probably 8, 9, 10 years old, and I listened to it and I heard it, but I don't think I really knew what it meant, but it stuck with me. And the older I've gotten, you realize how much truth there is to that. That your name is something that you need to be proud of and something you need to keep, have integrity and feel good about it. When things are difficult, I would say I have a couple of things. My first one is probably to try to get enough rest. The second one, find a couple of friends, a couple of good friends, trustworthy friends, and go out and have a glass of wine, have dinner and have a glass of wine. Probably one of my favorite ones is, and I started a long time ago, was just hiding out and going to a movie in the afternoon. I would go by myself, and I used to have friends that wanted to join me, so I quickly realized it was something that I wasn't going to share with a lot of people, or if I went, they would want to know what movie I saw and what did I think about it. So I'd say in the last 15 years, I just sneak away, go to a movie by myself, and really not tell anybody where I'm gone, and it's kind of like my little secret hideaway. So I was remembering as a child, one of my favorite cartoons was Casper the Friendly Ghost. And I think I just like the idea of Casper was supposed to be part of a group that scared all the other ghosts, or scared people. That was their job. And he didn't want to do that. So he kind of left the group. You know, he wanted to do good things. He wanted to be friendly with people. He didn't want to do what the group wanted. And I kind of find sometimes that I'm willing to do the same thing. If it's kind of going in a direction that's not feeling right, I will leave to do something that I feel like is right for me.
I would tell my 20-year-old self to chill out, to maybe not take life so seriously, and to just learn to be patient. I think, sometimes we think of as you age, you get less patient, but I think I've gotten more patient over the years just because I've kind of learned that some things just aren't that important to get all upset about. And for me, that would be what I would tell my 20-year-old self. When things get tough, the way I keep going, I usually always try to have a plan B and sometimes a plan C. So I'll revert to the plan B and revert to plan C when necessary, which isn't too often. And also I find that a really good night's sleep, you get up the next day refreshed and you can think things through a little more clearly. And if it's a longer period of time, as the old saying goes, this too shall pass. And maybe seek the advice of someone that's been through some similar situation and get their advice and just kind of work through the problem as best I can. But I try not to let it get the best of me and try to have a positive attitude and just persevere. I could not live without valet service because I am always running late, and I just love when I'm going to an event. I represent RPM at quite a few community events, and having that valet there and I can just run in the door, that's my greatest joy. If I ever win the lottery, I'm going to have my own personal car and driver, and I will have valet forever after. So that would be my wish.
My inspiration comes from my grandparents, actually. Both grandmothers left Poland when they were 16 and without their families, came here and settled in, had families, got houses, learned English, taught them the value of education and service. And my parents passed that on to me. So I think that's a pretty inspirational story when you think of two 16-year-olds separately coming on their own and creating this life that went on generations then. So we also have a 100-year-old member who loves to read. She lives alone at 100 years old. Her kids live out of state. So we bring her books and she just lights up when she has these books and she talks to us, and it's just to be that age and interested in the world around you. And so I think people every day can be inspiring. The words I try to live by, not always able to, I would say integrity, kindness, and compassion. Because we look at people and we think we know, oh, they have such a great life or whatever, and you never know what people are going through. So I think it's important to realize that and to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and try to help others. Well, I'm going to be another Diana Prince, because she is also known as Wonder Woman. If you look at Wonder Woman, she comes out of bondage in many ways, but also it's always with love and strength. That's the role model that Wonder Woman was supposed to be. She was supposed to be a warrior, fierce, able to, help solve problems in the world, but do it with love rather than just battlement. And also, if I was her, I could wear this tiara all the time.
For my 20-year-old self, I would tell myself, just go ahead and take risks. Don't wait till everything's perfect. Just get out there, whether it's your career or your life, get out there and do it and just take a risk and it'll pay off. Words I live by, I would have to come back to the Maya Angelou, one of her statements, which is, I've learned that people will forget what you did, people will forget what you said, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And I think that's the most important thing. If I were stranded on a desert island, I would have to have peanut butter because I cannot live without peanut butter. And I think I should bring matches because after watching all those Survivor episodes, I see how hard it is to make a fire. And then I'd want a satellite phone so I could call everybody so I wasn't stranded too long.
So if I knew then what I knew now, what would I tell my 20-year-old self? I think I would tell her, you're doing a good job. Keep it up. I don't want to give too many spoiler alerts because that's what life is, full of ups and downs and highs and lows, and you'll get through it and you're going to learn some really cool lessons along the way and meet some really amazing people and be blessed by blessing others. So keep going, girl, and you're stronger than you think. And then just as a side note, I think I would tell her, you know that belly roll that you look at like every time you go by the mirror and get a little bit anxious about that? You ain't seen nothing yet. And the cool spoiler I will give you is all that junk doesn't matter. I love Gandhi's words of wisdom, be the change you wish to see in the world. Got it on my arm, I guess, in case I forget. And my translation of that would be, say yes to the mess. I think a lot of us, a human tendency is, someone should do something. You know, the teen mom, someone should help them, but that's not my daughter. The homeless, someone should help them, but that's not even in my neighborhood. Our village, I think, is bigger than we really think. When I took teens recently, well, not recently, I've been going there about 2 years. I take teenagers to the homeless in Akron. First time I walked in there was a kid that used to live in Wadsworth that's now living in a tent, and he used to come to our ministry all the time. There was another lady I met that 30 years ago used to live with my grandma, never had met her, and she was from Wadsworth. So the further I get from my comfort zone, I think I'm more smack dab in the middle of where God wants me to be. If I was an animated character, who would I be and why? I think I have to say African American Ariel. I think she's busting down boundaries and walls that are ridiculous anyways and shouldn't be there. And also, I've always wished I could sing, and so I would finally be able to.
I am inspired by people who love the Lord. I'm inspired by people who work hard and love their jobs. And I'm inspired by people who give of themselves to help others. I define success as being at peace with your life and happy with where you are. And I believe that I have achieved success because as the fiscal officer for the local public library, I live a very peaceful and balanced life. I could not live without my Bible because the Word of God nourishes my spirit, and I could not live without my iPhone, sadly enough, because it tells me where to go and how to get there, and I could not live without my coffee maker.
What or who inspires me? Probably the children I serve. Watching them come into the center. They're so brave to come in and tell their stories. It takes a lot of courage to talk about what happens to you as a child when you're being abused. So I would say the children is what inspires me. When I think about with children, you know what, they don't have an opportunity. When they're being abused, there's no break. So, last year I've experienced some serious health issues, and the whole time I'm thinking, you know what, I can't give up on them because they're living this life of abuse, and I'm a voice for them. So when the tough gets going, I think about what they're going through, and that gives me the energy and power to get through whatever I need to get through, knowing that I can make a difference in their life. I could not live without a great support group. Friends, my community, my family, without my husband and my son, especially without my husband who takes care of my son, because many hours I'm out taking care of other folks' kids. So I could not live really without my community and family.
The words and rules that I live by are keep breathing, be happy that your heart is beating. That's what we have to look forward to every day. A lot of people do not have that to look forward to every day, so just be happy. Find that inner peace and that happiness and what makes you smile, and go out there every morning and keep it all day and keep it all night until you go to sleep, and you'll sleep well. 3 things critical for a woman to be aware of, whether in business or not in business or working with someone. Find your passion. You find your passion, you'll find purpose. Once you find that purpose, you will find perseverance to follow that passion. So find your passion. My passion's dogs. I found that, then I made a purpose, and then I followed it with perseverance, and it has enriched my life greatly, greatly. If I were ever stranded on a desert island, I would want a dog to keep me company, and they're so fun. I would want a hat to keep the sun off of my face, and I would want wine. That's what I would like. A dog, a hat, and wine would make me happy.
The rules and words that I live by are to be the change you wish to see in the world, as Gandhi said. So I was really inspired to start my business because my mom had drug addiction, and I felt that if I could help people manage pain without narcotics, it might prevent people from getting started on the opiates in the first place. So it really inspired me to start my business. Not to let other people define you. I think I spent most of my 20s and 30s trying to kind of figure out something that was in the mainstream, and it turns out that my calling was really something very unique, like doing acupuncture. And so I've never really been happier since I just went ahead and did something that some people thought was a little bit crazy, but it's really worked out well for me, and I'm happy every single day at work, and I get to have interns and inspire other women and help people feel better. So it was the best risk I ever took, really. So I cannot live without love. Love is my favorite. To give love and to be with my family and get love, I think that I wouldn't want to be in a world without love.
Some rules and words that I live by that I heard from someone years ago that have stuck with me happened when I took a youth group to Puerto Rico. But there was a woman who lived next door who was a single woman. She owned a small home next door, and a tree had fallen on her property. And she had asked the counselor if maybe some people from the center could come over and help her. So we walked over, the counselor and I, and he said, "We've got this high school group here and they would love to come and help you." And I could see the skepticism on her face when we talked about high school students, and he could see it as well. And before she ever had a chance to say anything, he said to her, "Elsa, you don't need to worry. You can see these kids from the inside out." And we had a successful day there, and we took a lot more from that day than just clearing a tree from property. And what I took from that was the importance of being seen from the inside out. I have 2 rules when you're in tough times. One is run towards them, and 2 is find the lessons. And the strength in that is you can keep your eyes on what is happening and see what's coming. And also, you're going to get through it a lot faster. And when you get to the other side, you find that you are stronger and you're more resilient, and you're probably a little wiser too. I picked an animal, and I picked, I guess it's character, Lassie, one of my favorite Sunday evening pastimes back in the day. But, I mean, who doesn't want to be Lassie? She's smart, she has beautiful hair, she does look at people from the inside out, She is always putting others before herself. She's brave, and she never gives up. And it's also kind of nice to hear, good girl, every now and then.